Yo, 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 what's the deal, y'all? This your boy King Eric the Great, and you're now tuned in to episode 314 of Off the Cuff Radio, sponsored by Cocaine's Buddy Boy Entertainment, sponsored by Jesse's Boutiques, sponsored by Dirty Basement, and Core Financial. We got a special show on lineup tonight, man. Now, before we go on, I'm about to try to bring on my man Illa the Sandman, so we can have the full Gilla team on blast right here. I got my man T-Max on the phone because we got a special show lined up tonight, man. I got T-Max right here. I'm going to bring him on.
Yeah, man. Sunday Fun Day, OTC, off the cuff, place to be, man. You know, look, we keep doing it again and again, man. And like you said, King, we definitely got a not only a special guest, but a legendary MC as well in the building, man. You know, this, you know, is
peep the game, man. It's like we knew we had to. We usually don't really do Sundays like that, but for this guest right here, we had to push everything to the side to give this guy the floor.
Definitely, man.
Now, before we bring him on, I'm going to see if I can get my man Illa the Sandman on right quick, because he'll be able to join us. We're going to have that Bronx connection going on. If not, I'm going to try to bring him on later on through the show. So we're going to see if we can bring him on.
Okay.
Like, this is the other way we got to do it. Hang on 1 second. Maybe a little issue right there, but if he hears me back, we're going to bring him back on. But nevertheless, welcome to Off the Cuff Radio, King Eric the Great, T-Max with the facts. And what I want you to do, I want you to give the intro out.
Definitely, man. In the game of New York hip-hop, and its most storied MCs from the Bronx to Staten Island to Brooklyn, you know, this is where BK specifically, you know, in Brooklyn in general, and Brownsville specifically, this man right here is one of the hardest, toughest, gifted, and one of the most elite bringers of that bad boy, hardcore, New York style hip hop. You know, Atlantic and Saratoga, everybody knows about the world famous M.O.P. along with his man Lil Fame. We got the legendary big boy, badass MC of himself, Billy Dance on the line. What it do, man?
What's good?
Hey, yo, what's up, fam? Hey, yo, man. You made me feel like a superhero, bro. What an introduction, man. I feel special,
Definitely.
brother. I appreciate it, man.
Before we get into it, hey, Dance, you remember
yeah.
back when you were in Virginia back in December at whatchamacallit, the club name?
Okay.
This is T, man. This is the same dude that had all that stuff. This is the same guy.
Yeah, what's up, brother? What's going on with you?
What's going on? We're chilling, man. Great to reunite with you and catch up with you again, man. I mean, to holler at you, everybody, man. It was a great night, man, over at Elevation 27, man. Great meeting you all.
Yeah, well, thank you, brother. Good to meet you, too, man. And look, I'll be down there, man. I'm thinking about taking a little vacation. So I think I might come down your way, man. So we definitely need to link up.
Definitely, man. I know you and Knox were talking about y'all having a project.
Yeah. I'll definitely be down there. I'm talking about maybe in like 2 weeks, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Well, I mean, we're happy to have you on, man. Welcome to the show. And I guess it's only right, man. I mean, go ahead, tell us a little bit about, you know, your background, you know, growing up in Brownsville, you know, how you met Lil Fame and how, you know, M.O.P. came to be.
Right. You know what, bro? Growing up in Brownsville, I mean, like every other young kid in our urban communities, we think our community is just like the, you know, just everything. So all I knew was Brownsville. I grew up in the same kind of area as everybody else, poverty-stricken, you know, low income, you know, a bunch of negative stuff. You know, a lot of good times too, a bunch of negative stuff. And we formed this whole M.O.P. thing years ago before we even brought it to the public. And it wasn't about rap music. It was just about a band of brothers basically. And the crazy thing when you ask about how I linked up with Fame, it's crazy, bro, because I don't even know. It's been that long. Like we've been it's like we've been tied together since the beginning, as far back as I can remember. So I don't even know exactly. Like I literally can't say to you like I met him at school or we met on the train or we met at the park. We just don't know. So that's how long it's been. You know what I mean? So and for most people out there that think, I mean, M.O.P. is a group when it comes to making records or whatever, but we're not a group. So we've been together so long, we're more like a family. And I bounced around in the game for many years. Working with whether it was Busta Rhymes, Jay-Z, 50, DJ Premier, a lot of other cats out there I've worked with. So and we still here, man, still touring. Well, before this whole virus thing, we just got off tour before the virus hit, and was heading back out, and then it got crazy. So right now, I'm literally sitting in front of the studio right now. So we still out here working, putting records together, and trying to make sure our people stay connected, and we stay connected with them. You know what I mean?
Hey, there's one question I want to shoot to you, man, and I've been wanting to know this. I heard about this project. There was talks about it. Do you guys still plan on doing an album with Onyx? Because that's the album I need in my life right now, man.
You know what? I'm gonna call Sticky about it. It was something that we talked about a little while ago, and because scheduling, dude, like it's crazy for us. Like we're always on the road. We're on one side of the planet. Onyx is on the other side of the planet, and when they sitting still, we moving. When we moving, when we sitting still, they're moving. And then sometimes we're moving together, so we really haven't found the time to put it together. But it's definitely something that I may get on the phone with Sticky or Fred tomorrow and talk to them about.
Yeah, that's a movie right there, man. That's like Michael Bay and James Cameron coming together. We need that.
Yeah, it'll definitely be something big, man. Just to hear us all on a complete project, because we did a record together, a song on Sticky's latest project, which is actually dope. The whole project is dope too. So me, Fame, Sticky and Fred got on the joint together, and it's nuts. It's nuts, dude. So, but yeah, it's something that I'll definitely talk to my dudes about, man, and see what we can get. See what we can get going.
Definitely.
Man, definitely. Now, one thing, Dance, is that M.O.P. has, Mashout Posse has been the standard bearer of what New York hip-hop represents in all aspects of reality, gritty, core, skilled lyricism. And, I say this as ultimate compliment, me being a metalhead as well. You guys are the equivalent of thrash metal and hip-hop music for how hard y'all bring it. I mean, you guys, especially going into the, early 90s rather, you were all featured, and I'm correct, you were all featured on a compilation called The Hill That's Real. And I believe that was your first official musical introduction in terms of actually being introduced to the masses. Could you tell us about how that came about, with y'all coming on there?
Well, I just actually know about the project. I wasn't on the project. Fame was on the project.
Fame got you.
He did about 4 records himself on that project, and he wrote maybe like 3 records on the project. Right. And that was the introduction of our family into the music business. Happened because of my boy Lays, who was working with Positive K at the time, had worked with Big Daddy Kane, and he's actually from our neighborhood. And he came back to the neighborhood, and his cousin and Fame were cool. And, he made the introduction right there, and then they just started rocking from there. So they put together that Hill That's Real compilation, which is why it was called The Hill That's Real, because Lays is actually from the Hill and Fame is from the Hill. So, and it was something that Lays had on his head to do. And, Lays is like, he's a businessman, man. He figured out a way to help Fame get off the block, and the way that he had to do it was put Fame on the compilation and then push him off the compilation into Fame's next, venture of music, which turned out to be the very next song that he was creating for his solo project was How About Some Hardcore, which is a record that he just asked me to feature on.
Okay.
And we turned that, once they took that record, we got a whole deal with half the song. The song wasn't even completed. And they took
that was
the
on
record
Select
to a
Records.
label.
That was on Select.
Yep.
Was that on Select Records? Yeah, Select Records. Because that would end up being, because what y'all would end up having was was the undeniable, classic to the death.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
right. And that's when, matter of fact, when I met y'all, because like I told y'all, I'd had all the Source magazines since 1994. And I remember reading about y'all specifically. And I mean, I first heard How About Some Hardcore, and I was like, yo, these niggas got necks right here. Now I heard about Fame, because look, I'm a 16-year-old nigga back in the day in '94. I'm hearing this shit. Shout out to 103 Jams, out here in VA, man, and they played that, and it's like, yo, I'm like, who are these dudes right here? Now I heard about, Fame, that Fame had already developed a fierce reputation as an MC out there in terms of like tearing niggas' heads off at a young age. In terms of your coming into, your evolution into an MC, Billy, how did you really begin to develop your style? Who were some of your influences that would mold you?
Well, you know what? When we talk about musically, my influence, or MCs, my influence is, Rakim, Poochie Rap, Scarface, Big Daddy Kane, dudes like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
As far as music itself, like, I come from my mother's era. I want to listen to the OJs and Temptation and all that. So I've always been into music like that. As I was saying, like, I actually coming into the business was just me doing a feature with Fame, which turned out to be How About Some Hardcore. And we just figured, you know what, let's just go ahead and put it together and keep it together because we're going to be together anyway. You know what I mean? So we just went on ahead and named the group what the group was already named, M.O.P., and then we just started from there. But I was more into other things when I got into the business. You know what I'm saying? So, but I thank Fame and I thank Lace for that, for pulling me out of whatever mess I was in to help me find a better life. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Now, one thing about it is when y'all came into the game, this is pretty much, and a lot of hip-hop historians call that early 90s era, 93 through 95, the second golden era of hip-hop. Because, of course, you had Snoop dropping in 93 with Doggy Style, of course, doing it for the West Coast. Above the Rim soundtrack dropped in 94. Nas, this kid from QB that everybody heard on the Zebrahead soundtrack a couple years earlier with Halftime, he was blowing up. OC, with Word Life, of course, Big, he would, in September of 94, he would eventually drop his debut, and then you guys were right up in the mix of that New York, and I can't forget Method Man, in the fall of 94.
That's right.
And Red, they would drop their albums, in late 94 as well. And you guys were right up in the midst of that New York renaissance of hardcore hip-hop. I mean, did you know that you all were going to be one of the flag wavers, of that movement that was really going to bring the Big East back to prominence?
You know what, bro? You never know, right? Especially when you're a young artist and all you have is a dream.
Right.
And all you know, even though it's really nothing big when you first start, but it seems like it's so grand. It's something other than being on the corner or getting yourself in trouble and all that. So we had no clue. It was just like, you know what, let's just do music. And one thing I just, not that I just realized, but I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, how all of our peers in that time, like, they were dope. There were some that was just averagely dope and some that were just well above average. But we just looked at everything that they did as fuel to move us forward, because you would hear a Nas record or you would hear, a Mobb Deep record or something like that, a big record, you'd be like, man, wait till I get back in the studio, watch what I do. We would use it as fuel. So we kind of had this friendly competition going on because it wasn't too much violence and all of that going on amongst our peers. Like, maybe a little arguments here and there, but it wasn't too crazy. So,
right.
we had no clue on what we were doing. We knew how to do what we were doing, but we didn't know what we were doing with it. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
just keep creating, man, keep creating. And we were making ourselves feel good because it was like, we're doing something other than the normal, man. So, and it feels good. You know what I mean? We're going places, we're seeing different things. It's crazy when a kid when you grow up in a city and you don't even know all the different sections of the city. All you know is your section. You know what I mean? So
right.
moving from Brooklyn uptown to clubs, out to Queens to clubs, and the Bronx to clubs, like that was huge for us. We didn't know that we were going to be on a plane, like, a few months after that going to another state, and then a few months after that going to another country. You know what I mean? And still traveling right now to this day, off of that energy that we had when we started from the beginning of this thing. And I actually thank all of my peers, all the artists that was around that was coming out at that time, because they gave us that fuel to keep going. You know what I mean? So we happy to be here, brother. You know what I'm saying? We still going, champ.
Right.
That's it, man. Word.
Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna try to bring on our second co-host. I'm gonna try to bring Sandman on, representing the Bronx. Come on, Blog Talk. Gotta bring the dude on. Hold on 1 second.
All righty. Well, while King is in the interim with it, well, one thing about it, Dan, when you get when you get on with that deal with Select, what was that like in terms of really understanding the what it meant to really get in? Okay, I think King may have it now.
I think he's on.
Something totally different.
Yeah, I'm here. Y'all can hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we can hear you.
All right. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. So
okay.
So it was. I mean, it's life changing. You know what I'm saying? When you get a deal for any kid, man, whether it was yesterday, today, or tomorrow, that's going to be something life changing. Now you could potentially get yourself into a jam with these deals, but
right.
it's always going to be life changing, because somebody's going to offer you, more money than you possibly ever seen at one time, and your goal is to do better, to get your family out of a bad situation, to get yourself in position to win. So when you get those deals, like it's life changing, dude. Like I said, like I went to do a feature and couldn't finish the song because
right.
I'd never been in the studio a day in my life. So we created How About Some Hardcore this day, and I rapped so hard. I never rapped this hard before. So I couldn't get the second verse out, dude. My throat was killing me. I'm being 100% honest with you. I went home and I may have listened to this half-done record 1,000 times. And by the next week, Lage pulls up on the block and he goes, "Yo, I need to talk to you about something." He got a check in one hand and he got some papers in another hand. In the other hand, I'm going, "What's that about?" He's like, "Yo, they want to do a deal." I said, what are you talking about? Now, I don't know these kind of deals. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, let's line up with somebody and talk about it. But I mean, I'm a kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm 19, 20 years old. All I know is hustling, scrambling, and gambling. So for them to give me $125,000 at that time, it was my very first time in the studio, and I never ever finished the record. I didn't even finish the song. So it was life changing. My mom, like, she buying beer for everybody. She's buying beer. She like, we balling. she like, we balling. She like, we balling now. You know what I'm saying? So it was a life changing thing, man. And it's something like this is always gonna be life changing for kids that's coming out of our community that never seen that kind of bread at one time. You know what I mean? So, and I'm grateful, man. And I always give a major shout out to Mr. Fred Mineo at Select Records. At that time in the business, like, you didn't have to have your followers up and your YouTube views and all that going on. Like, the CEOs and the A&Rs at these record companies, they had passion for the music, and they can hear the passion in the music, and they gave you deals off of that. So I always take my hat off to Fred Mineo and my man Silver D from the Bronx who actually took the record to Fred Moneo and got us the deal. You know,
and that's and you know, Dan, that's wild because when I watched the Time is Illmatic documentary, Jungle was echoing the same sentiments that you just did about because he's thinking like when Nas gets his deal with Columbia. That this is like, they got a check and everything, everybody balling out, but he's thinking like this is going to be it, maybe we'll get a song out, which would end up being the first official single, It Ain't Hard to Tell, that will, come off the Illmatic album. But he's like, they're just thinking that, okay, we got something, but it's like we're going to go right back to the hood. And then, Illmatic becomes this bomb that just detonates a whole new era of MCing. But you guys were within, we're all, within that era. And and it's not only you guys from Brownsville that would end up, really dropping some hard-ass heat. Of course, there was this other kid, by the name of Smooth the Hustler with his brother Trigger the Gambler and cousin DB alias Christ, who would come the next year, and would really, carry on tradition. So you guys laid down a foundation of a pedigree of just elite that would endure to this day. And I guess that's something we'll get into later on in terms of the sojourns, with your record label deals, because of course you have Select, you would end up going to Loud, of course, Rockefeller, G Unit. So you guys, where it is also, you've established yourselves as legends in the game, never ever dropping anything trash. All of your albums are just the blueprint of what hip hop should be. But you also had, you learned a lot about the business as well. So okay, so we're going into '94. After To the Death drops. You're getting, the positive reviews, the feedback. And I guess I have to backtrack a bit. When you talk about the marketing aspect of the game, because like you said, this is before social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, IG. What was it like to actually shoot that first video? What was the energy like in terms of really like, we really are like really putting all, like we're really like seeing this manifest?
Dude, it was nuts. I think we stayed up all night waiting for the camera crew. We really did. Like, we stayed up all night. I had bumped into a new little chick, everything. It's like everything was going right that night, dude. But the next day, like, we went and bought these beach chairs. Like, we in the hood, dude. We went and bought these beach chairs, laid them out, set out the beach chairs, had our, both of our moms sitting out on the beach chairs and just sitting there chilling. It was weird because there was a camera on the block. And the camera was there for us. Normally the camera was there for us for some other reason, right? So, and Hype Williams kept sticking this camera in my face, and he had another dude with him who I think was Little X, if I'm
the director.
Maybe Lord. Yeah. But remember, Little X, all of them worked under each other at one time, And he kept sticking like this little meter in my face that, I guess it was like a light meter or something like that. And I kept jumping. I'm like, dude, like I'm thinking you about to swing on me or something. You know what I mean? So this is something brand new for me. It was very uncomfortable at first. I had to get a couple shots of Hennessy, and well, it wasn't even Hennessy that then. We were still on the brown level, so I was drinking Bacardi or something. I took a couple shots of Bacardi, and loosened up a little bit. But my whole neighborhood, no one in my neighborhood knew I could rap. Like, no one ever heard me rap, no one ever seen me rap, and nothing like that. So everybody was amazed. Now, they already knew Fame rap from The Hill as real, but they didn't know I rap. So everybody was amazed, and it was good. Like, we brought out people, even the dudes that we didn't like and the dudes that didn't like us. Everybody came out, showed love and support for what we were doing. I guess they were able to kind of see, there's something going on different on St. Mark's now other than just being competition to the competition, you know what I mean? We had a great time. I couldn't believe it happened. I think we stayed up for another 2 days after that, like, man, just waiting to see what the video looked like because we had never been on camera before. Well, I had never been on camera before. So, And you know, the rest is history, bro. We, you know, now I always look forward to shooting videos now, especially now that they're a little cheaper, right? They used to rape us, man. We used to pay, dude, when I talk to dudes now, they be like, yeah, I'll shoot a video for, I shoot videos for $700. I'm like, $700? Right. It was like, we've shot $125,000 videos, $80,000 videos. I think the cheapest video we shot was How About Some Hardcore, which cost us $8,000 at that time. But even now, $8,000 for a video, the way these kids are shooting now, $8,000 gets you like 10 videos.
Yeah.
So we had Hype Williams in the hood. Yeah, we had Hype Williams in the hood for $8,000. It was our first video, and it was his first video. And it was great. It was a great experience, man. It was a great experience.
That's some history right there.
Yeah.
And
if you look at the video, bro, you will see it's black and white and it's color. It was all black and white. And then we couldn't find Hype to actually tell him, yo, dude, we don't like this. You got to do something else. We need some color. We actually bumped into him in the middle of Manhattan, made him get in the car, call his people, come back to Brooklyn, took him back to Brooklyn. This was like a week or two later. Took him back to Brooklyn. He called his crew, and we got the shots with the color shots done.
Gotcha.
So it was a little different when we got it done. You know what I mean?
And I think a lot of times a lot of the artists today don't really understand it, because back in the day, look, King, Sandman, myself, we all grew up on the era of Rap City, the Video Box, Yo MTV Raps. I mean, and to see just, and I tell the youngins today, I'm 42 years old and still a child of the culture. Love it till the day I die. And I tell the youngins today, I'm like, to really understand what it meant to not only get signed back in the day, but to have a video out and to have your video in rotation. I mean, back in the day, you're just worrying about video permits.
No.
You got that guerrilla style like Vietnam. You're trying to get all this stuff together in terms of it was, but by the same token, it was an event when you actually seen it, because I'm not going to say the game is oversaturated with videos today, because I think a great visual is a perfect complement to a song. But I think in terms of what, we look at the aesthetics, the music, and how it really coincided. When you watch videos that time, like Nas's The World Is Yours, Method Man's Bring the Pain, the joint you all did with, with Heather B, My Kind of Nigga. Yeah,
Please leave your message for 81638999354.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's like, but when we look at those visuals for what the album, for what videos were back in the day, Billy, I mean, I just, there's just a certain heart, a certain grit that is like, even taking it to the West Coast, when you see guys like E-Rule with Listen Up, or, South Central Cartel, shout out to, Havoc and Prodigy with, Gang Stories, when they did their album Kicking Game, with Jeezer on the Move, with LB singing. Back in the day, taking it back to the Bronx again, with Veronica, with her debut V as in Veronica, where she did her joint Without Love,
Right.
I mean, you all just...
Y'all can hear me?
Yes, sir.
You all just had you all just had it down in terms of the videos. I mean, so...
It wasn't easy, though,
I just have to say, my dude, Dan, I've been following your work ever since To the Death. This is definitely a mark out moment for me. Talking to a legend right now, ever since
Thank you, brother.
One of my favorite bars is my family don't give a fuck about you. About that. Smack this shit out. How you you just be spazzing. You just be spazzing on the mic.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying? This is crazy.
I wasn't even angry though, man. I just wanted to make sure people heard what I said, man. I wasn't even mad. You know what I'm saying? That was I mean, we from these communities where that actually
that's the Brooklyn
regular.
way.
For somebody to jump up and just slap the shit out of someone. You're like, what the fuck? You know?
He said,
like, but
I ain't going down for the motherfucking murder. Oh, man.
But that record is actually a whole story. When I wrote that verse, you know, sometimes as an artist, you sit still and something just come over you. You just like, you know what, you either create something or something already in your head or something that you've been through, and you just want to pour it out on paper. You can't tell it all, so you tell it in bits and pieces, and you do slick about it with your vocals, with your writing and all that. But yeah, that was one of my favorites. I needed to get that out at that time because I realized at that moment my life was actually changing from the bullshit to the dope shit. You know what I mean? So one of my favorites though, bro. Thank you, man. I thank you for the support too, brother, for real.
You know, I think I bought like every single album.
Well, listen,
you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you.
I think Warriors, I would say like Warriors, Firing Squad was like my favorites.
Okay. I think Warriors is
Your recording has reached the maximum length. To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press 3. For delivery options, press 4. To send a fax, press 6. To cancel this message, press star. To send this message now, press pound or hang up.
Now that's weird.
Somebody's on somebody.
To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press 3. For delivery options, press 4. To send a fax, press 6. To cancel this message, press star. To send this message now, press pound or hang up.
Okay, we good now. I'm trying to see what's going on with this, y'all. My apology, but keep on.
To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press...
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and it's funny you say that, Billy, because, you know, I remember the Double XL y'all did an interview in, and you talked about that, about how that's just, you know, I think it was Fame that may have said about how, you know, that's just how we do, you know, in terms of, you know, just how y'all communicate in terms of the loud rambunctiousness, you know, that is Brownsville. So, I mean, so let's take it forward. So after, so To the Death becomes like this monster hit, and then ultimately, I believe that's when you end up getting on Loud, correct? On the next album?
Yep. The next album was on Loud. So that was First Family.
All right.
I want to say.
And that was First Family, and that Firing Squad, and that was First Family. Yeah, Firing Squad. That was released in 1996. Yes. All righty. So now, you know, you're, you know, obviously, you know, Loud is a big, you know, Steve Rifkin, you know, is the head guy, you know, when Loud was going at the time. So what was it like going into a situation where, of course, like you said, you signed to Select for 125. So now you're on, you know, Loud. What's it like going into a major league element in terms of like you're like really in the big time now?
Well, I mean, it was dope. First of all, you know, Loud had everybody there. So that friendly competition that I spoke about, Wu-Tang, everybody was over there. There was a whole bunch of people over there. Joe, everybody. So to step into that situation, it was great because it, you know, in my head, you know, somebody could look at it like, damn, now we got to go to another label. But I look at it more as we're moving up. And this is no disrespect to Select, because Select had some monster hits over there and they made a lot of money. But we were moving up. That's how I looked at it. And we went to actually for Relativity.
Okay, Relativity.
Relativity was the next, right. But in that Firing Squad record, I actually say we eject from Select, and now our shit is bumping Loud. But because we were supposed to go to Loud. We were in talks with Loud, but we wound up going to Relativity because the guy that now is the president of E1 was running Relativity. Him and his other buddy was a great friend of mine, and they gave us a shitload of money to come over there.
Look,
I was like, oh,
the emphasis.
You're rolling now. A shitload. Look, a shitload of money. And we went over there, and it was great, man, because, like I said, the president of E1 now, who is Alan Greenblatt.
Alan Greenblatt.
Yeah, him and Cliff took care of us very well, made sure we had everything that we needed and did everything that we needed. And they would guide us because, remember, this is only our second deal. We don't really know much about the business. Lays is sharp because he's been through this a lot of times, but we haven't as new artists. So they mentored us, and they gave us our freedom and let us do whatever we wanted to do. Of course, we were going to do that anyway. But it was a great. Dude, you don't know how many times dudes would come to us and go, "Yo, can you tone it down?" Russell Simmons himself said that M.O.P. wouldn't work. It was too hard.
Well,
How About Some Hardcore was too hard. Yeah, we put How About Some Hardcore out. It was one of the biggest records in the country. A few years later, he signed the same kind of artist, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? But it was just a learning experience, man. And again, shout out to the guys at Relativity, man. This at this point now, like, music has been half of my life, and the experiences that I had from jumping from label to label, and dealing with different personalities, it's been great. I know the ins and the outs now, with exception of Select Records. Every other deal we signed was because the heads of the label were fans of M.O.P.'s, and that's Loud. That's Relativity. That's G Unit. That's when we were coming from Select going to Loud. Jay-Z and Dame Dash used to come to the studio every day to try to get us to come get down with Rockefeller. Now, this is when the Rock was what I call, it's when it was a pebble. Before they got big, before anything started happening, they would come to the studio almost every day and try to get us to get down with Rockefeller while we were in transition from Select to Loud. And like I said, I always got to go back to Mr. Fred Beneo and Select Records. If this guy didn't give us a shot, then we wouldn't be here today. None of that would have happened. You know what I mean?
But what's dope about y'all catalog is y'all get down, man. Y'all got down with so many legendary figures, and that was before even 2000. And one of the more noteworthy figures was Big Pun. Like, what was it like working with him?
Pun was awesome, dude. He had that traditional Spanish Bronx mentality. A good fucking guy, though, man. Like, a funny guy. Had all the fat jokes in the world, which is really ironic and shit. But just a good guy, man, and super talented. I can remember before we even started doing records with Pun, I remember being in Washington, D.C., and M.O.P., we take a lot of pride in our stage show, man. We give it all up. We leave it on the stage. And, like I said, we had friendly competition then. So Joe and Pun going to get on the stage. I know they got dope records. I know they get busy. But I'm like, they ain't going to be able to rock like M.O.P. rock. Of course I want them to do well because these are my friends. But they ain't going to be able to rock like M.O.P. rock. Let me tell you something. Pun and Joe, big as hell. And you know how Pun was rocking. Dude. Yeah. He didn't lose his fucking breath not one time. Now I'm shaking like hell. I'm like, holy shit. I'm talking about body in the stage, bro. These dudes was big. You know how big these dudes were, man. And got on the stage and just tore it down, man. And not from that point, but before that point, we always been cool. But getting in the studio working with him, man, was amazing, man. And the last time we worked with him was the last record we did together. I want to say that was New York Giants. And like 3 days later, Fox called me. I can remember exactly where I was. And Fox called me and told me, pull the car over. I pulled the car over, and she told me what's going on. I'm like, wow, I just left him. Yeah. Shout out to Lady Fox. Shout out to Lady Fox, too, man. Yeah, shout out to Fox. She's still chilling, man. She's still chilling. Look, Billy, I still got that. Look, when I showed y'all that double XL, I still got that from 2000 when y'all, when she was in that as well. But you all have always had such a nucleus, with Lays, Fox, the whole crew. And one thing you said about Pun, which has always been a consistent in every interview that I've ever read about him,
Of course, we've had Tony Sunshine. We had Cuban Links on. You know, we've had a couple members of the Terror Squad. They always said the same thing. Pun's breath control was unbelievable in terms of how he was able to just flow. And
let me tell you something. Sorry to cut you off, brother. Let me tell you something.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You just saying it is one thing. But imagine me, right, about to get on stage, taking super pride in my show because I know I give it up. And I'm going, it's my friend. Of course, I want him to do good. But how's he going to be able to spit them lyrics like that? He ain't going to be able to do that, right? Dude, when I tell you I was shaking, and nobody scares me. I'm not scared to get on the stage after anybody. But Pun shook me up, dude. I'm like, how can he hold his... It don't make no sense for him to hold his breath like that. It didn't make no sense, even if he wasn't as big as he was. It just didn't make sense. He was like a machine, dude. Him and Joe got up there and slaughtered that, yo. I'm talking about, I remember every moment of that night. Like, they bodied the stage, man. So, yeah, his breath control was just ridiculous.
Now, Pun, you all were connected in New York, so when you first heard Pun on Firewater on the B-side for, success off of Fat Joe's single, that would be, Jealous One's Envy, that would be the album released in 95. Because by that time, Pun was going as Big Dog Punisher. That was his name at the time. Did you guys know what Pun would end up becoming in terms of being the legend that he would be?
Of course not, because you don't know. When you look back at it now, you can go, okay, all the signs were there. But at that time, like you just, you're just in the moment. You're just having fun with your friends. You're doing what you're doing, not paying so much attention to what everybody else is doing. But lyrically, we knew he wasn't nothing to fuck with. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude ain't nothing to fuck with. It's almost like hearing AZ on that Life's a Bitch record. Like, who is he? You know what I'm saying? Like, who is he?
And he got a deal off of that.
Dude,
he got a deal off of that.
Right. So Pun had that same feel when you first heard him. You're like, who is this? Crazy. And then just meeting him, man, and just hanging out with him, the times that I hung out with him. I mean, I'm grateful, man, and I'm glad that people recognize him for his talent and the great person that he was. Pun was really a good dude. Anybody know him personally, that knew him personally, was like, look, man, dude was just crazy. And that's how, from my understanding, that's how Remy got to the Terror Squad, was through Pun. And through Pun and through the Terror Squad is how Remy got on Any Up remix. So it's always dots connected.
That remix was crazy.
Oh, I love
that.
Yeah,
I love it. Crazy. Those house parties used to be jumping back then, man. I couldn't get in no club. I was like 17.
Remy bodied that record, bro. It's a funny thing about that record too. I just talked about it a couple months ago about how people don't know, but there was other people that were supposed to be on this remix. Jay-Z was supposed to be on the remix. Prodigy actually did a verse for the remix, but remember at the time, Jay-Z and Prodigy was beefing.
Right.
And of course, Prodigy is my boy. Prodigy is one of the first artists I've met in the business. And he, on his verse, I think he took a little shot at Jay because they was going through what they were going through. So I had to pull him off the record because I didn't, I mean, that's y'all beef, man. Y'all go ahead and handle it where y'all handle that. Don't do it on my record. You know what I mean? And Busta, of course, that's always been my boy. So we called him, man. He came in, slaughtered it. And Remy almost kind of bogarted her way on the record, to be honest. I didn't even know she was going to be on the record. I came to the studio, and I heard her voice on the record, slaughtering it, though. And then, like, a few hours later, she came in the studio. I guess she had did it the day before or whatever. And she came in the studio and sat on the couch and just never moved from the couch. It was like, this is the shit, dude. My verse is fire, so shut up and just mix it and master it. And that was it. Well, nothing I can do about it. But she bodied that record, man. And she's doing so good now, man. I love to see her and Pap and their family is growing, and they got that real solid love going on, man. And both of them are great artists too. So hats off to Remy, hats off for keeping hope alive for them, for their family, for their world. You know what I mean?
Definitely, man. I mean, as we're reminiscing on all of this, Billy. I mean, this is coming a long way from the dude that will walk around the deal with slippers and 2 burners on them and daring anybody to test them.
Yeah. You know what? Yo, look, I'm an old head now, man. And I was talking to my boys about that the other day. Like, yo, son, you're a little different. Now, I'm not different, man. I don't have that I wish a motherfucker would factor in my head no more. I'm just like, I hope a motherfucker don't, you know what I mean? So I don't have
right.
I don't feel like going to jail, you know what I mean? So my new shit is I hope a motherfucker don't. Look, I don't really want to go to jail, man. I don't really, but look, jails is a little different now, man. They clean and everything, man. They clean and ain't nobody beefing over the phones and all that shit no more, man. Last time they hauled my ass down for some bullshit a couple years back and shit, I noticed that the jails are much different, though. But it's still no place to be. Still no place to be. You know what I mean?
Did you guys expect that Ended Up record to really take it off like it did? Because, man, you hear that record in football games, the NBA games, or NASCAR.
You know what, bro? I never, and I'm gonna admit this to y'all, right? Like, Annie Up isn't my favorite record.
Cold as Ice?
Cold as Ice isn't my favorite either. I like Annie Up better than Cold as Ice, but Cold as Ice and Annie Up actually helped me put my kids through college and take care of my family, and still got me on the road today. Just from the record. So yeah, look, message to young artists. Just because you like the record, don't mean everybody else gonna like it. Sometimes it's the record that you don't like that everyone else will like. You know what I'm saying? So to the young artists out there, you can't make records for yourself, man. I mean, you want to please yourself, of course, but you want to make sure you're happy with the record. But think about it, man. If nobody knows about this record other than yourself, the chick you sleeping with, your aunt and your mama and them, then I don't know how big this record gonna be. So you got to make sure you branch out and don't put yourself in no box trying to please the dudes around you or the people around you, because everybody's different. You know what I mean? Like, you got to make big music and make sure that everybody can like this music. And it's music, right? So you can do it all. You don't ever have to look at it and go, oh, no, I don't want to cross over. Or I don't want to be soft. Or I don't want people to – look, man, it's music. You know what I'm saying? It's music. Music was designed to help enhance emotions. So you going to tell me you mad all day, nigga? You know what I mean? Like, you ain't mad all day, are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and make your little half R&B song if that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? You got to make your decision when you come into a music business or any business. Like, what are you here for? You want people to know that you're a dope MC? Is that good enough for you? Cool. You want to make some money? Figure out how to get to the money without compromising yourself? You can do that too. You know what I mean? Just don't back yourself to no corner.
And this is a reminder question, because I'm glad you brought that up too. And I want to know, how did this happen? Now, this is possibly one of the weirdest things to happen, but you guys found a way to make it work. How did the collaboration with this group called LFO happen?
I want to say Dame had something to do with that, or maybe no. I think they called. They called to get on the record with us. It's like, we have that M.O.P. kind of, you can hear kind of that rock influence in there. Well, some people view it as that rock influence. So that's how that happened. We also did a record with the Spice Girl. What's her name? Victoria Beckham.
Melanie B. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Victor. Yes. 45.
Victoria Beckham. Yeah, we did a record with her. So we've done records with some people that people from our neck of the woods don't know about so much. And people that LFO record though, I like that record. I like that.
Yeah, I remember a lot of heads was like, "Yo, what the hell is this? What's going on?" LFO, M.O.P.
But
right there, bro.
Go ahead.
If you try to please, if you just back yourself in a corner and try to please a certain demographic of people, then, you know, financially it may not pay out for you. So if I made, which I did, right, and I can say this because this is a message to the younger artists, like I kind of backed myself in the corner by making certain kind of music. I would beef with all the radio station DJs. Like, I'm talking about straight out disrespecting, bro. Because I'm like, I could pull up on them at a light, and they'll be playing M.O.P., but I never hear it on the radio. At the time, I was a kid. So, yeah, I want to get out. I want to box them up, all kind of shit like that. But I'm dead wrong when I think about it now, because if we ever had to do a clean version of an M.O.P. record, especially back then, it would be nothing but an instrumental. It's curses all through the record, right? So I didn't give them what they needed to actually play on the radio. So it wasn't even their fault. So what was I mad at them for? So that's what I'm saying, like, message to a younger artist, like, don't box yourself in. Like, be an artist. If you're going to be a rapper, be a rapper. But if you want to call yourself an artist, be an artist. You have emotions. Like, you have you have everyday life that you deal with, up and down situations. You got a mother, you got a sister, you got a brother, you got some kind of pain, some kind of joy in your life that you could put into the record that could possibly get you what you deserve putting in your hard work. You know what I mean? So the record with LFO, even though at the time I was still angry as hell, I don't know why, but I'm on a record yelling and all that shit. Maybe I could have did something different. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, bro, the dude was like, what the hell is this? That's because I was back into that corner, and my fan base kept me in that corner. Not kept me there, but they was comfortable with me being there. You know what I mean? But we gotta move around as artists, bro.
Yeah, but you know, Billy, and what King said, you know, and he nailed it, because when I listen to all of your albums, you know, and because you mentioned a lot, I want to get to all of everything you mentioned, because we'll get back to what you said about how artists, you know, how people were playing your stuff that you weren't getting a pub. But in terms of the samples and in terms of the sounds, like when you did the Handle Your Business remix, you know, you had the rock sound. I mean, when you did the 718, which you addressed a lot of those DJs, you know, who didn't play your shit, you know, where you use that Tears for Fears Head Over Heels single. And then, of course, you know, the Cold as Ice, where you use the Foreigner sample. I mean, you got your guys in terms of, you know, everybody from Premier to DR Period to Lays to even Fame, you know, who started producing. I mean, you all had such a musical scope that was just wide. I mean, I don't think the geniusness of the beats, the production that you all had is fully appreciated, because you guys had some range.
Right. Well, I don't either, but we also got to remember, like, everybody don't see music the way that you see it. You know what I'm saying? So people just listen to music for that moment. People just, whatever that moment is. Like, everybody don't listen. Like, I listen to a record over and over and over again when I love it. Some people just listen to music for whatever's going on in the party right now. You know what I mean? So, Of course, they're not going to dig that deep. A producer will dig that deep to see what Fame did on the 187 joint, or see what Lays did with, you know, 4 Alarm Blaze, or, you know what I mean? Like, they would look into it. A producer would, but the average consumer don't look that deep into the records. So, and even just as being an artist, like, if people don't give me my credit for being an artist, it's cool, because, like, the people that I'm on the phone with right now, I can feel the genuineness and the appreciation for me and my artistry. That's all I need is my people. You know what I'm saying? I don't need everybody else going, dude, you're super dope. You know, if you don't feel that way, then you don't feel that way. Cool. But I have a solid fan base around this world. I've traveled this world 4.5 times now.
Oh, wow.
I did pretty good, man, coming from Brownsville. No diplomas, no degrees, none of that. You know what I mean? I did pretty good just with my solid fan base, and that's even with backing myself into a corner. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm grateful for all the love and appreciation I got, brother. You know.
Definitely. Now, I guess also too, along with Sandman and King, because we've covered so many different subjects. So the chronological, we just threw that out the window. But
right,
of course, you know. But of course, you do First Family for Life. So this is the album that, like, you know, really once again moves you forward. So tell us about. Well, this is Firing Squad, and then of course it would be First Family for Life, and this would be, you know, where you ended up doing the 4 Alarm Blaze. That's where you ended up using that Survivor Eye of the Tiger sample with Jay-Z on it. Now, and of course Downtown Swinger 98. I mean, all of your albums, you know, were just a progression of what was already just perfection to begin with. But it was like, because we're going to talk about what happened with the Warriors Project, which was supposed to be the breakthrough, and how that didn't necessarily get to where it should have. But take us back to that session of First Family for Life, and how did that really come about?
Well, the whole album was, we were in between deals, of course, as usual, and we were more thinking that we still have to push us at what we believe in. And what we believe in is our family and the things that we do, and how we don't really, you know, in the young state of mind, we don't really give a fuck about nobody else, about us. So putting those records together was great. We had some ups and downs in that time, you know, loved ones passing away and people going to prison, and all of these things was happening. and even at the same time too, like we were doing, like with that 4 Alarm Blaze record that you mentioned, which was already done, already playing on the radio. And again, here comes Jay. And Rockefeller was already moving at the time, and I don't want to say begged to get on the record, but for 2 or 3 weeks straight, he would come to the studio, yo, open that record up, dog, let me get on it. And we let him get on the record at some point, and that's how that happened. But yeah, it was the emotions that was moving around us when creating that record it was mixed emotions. So it was easy, it was hard sometimes. I remember creating that record, and my mom was sick, and I couldn't get on the phone, and I sat in D&D, and I couldn't write the rhyme. I kept sitting in the back of D&D, and everybody would come back there and, you know, check on me, see what's going on. Of course, I'm not telling nobody what's happening, because I kind of got unfocused. You know what I'm saying? I got unfocused, but she wouldn't answer that door. But when she did answer, she wouldn't answer the phone. But when she did answer the phone, I snapped right back and got back into it. And, you know, it was a lot of ups and downs on that project, bro. But we made it happen. We got it done, and the last night we were getting the last record done. I don't know if we was mixing and recording a record. This was the last night we had. I think 2-3 people went to jail that night. A whole bunch of shit happened that night. It was a whole bunch of shit happened that night. But by the time the sun came up, we had the record mixed and ready to go. Even the new record. You know, it was a hell of a ride. It was a hell of a ride, bro.
Y'all Brooklyn niggas don't play when it comes to putting it together, do y'all?
Listen, bro, we gotta do what we gotta do, man. You know what I mean? We gotta do what we gotta do. But we got it done, though. We got it done.
Then y'all came out with the EP, the Handle Your Business joint. That was one of my favorites too, because y'all brought that metal feel to it.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Well, see, that was also crazy too. If I'm not mistaken, Lays produced. He did produce every record on that, and he had just had his daughter. His daughter was just born, and he bought this new fucking keyboard. And we just sat in the studio because the label didn't want to give us funds to do something, so we had to force them. And the way we forced them was by doing this EP. When we put this EP out and they saw the reaction to the EP, then they got right in order. We did the EP in I want to say a week. You know what I mean? So it was like we was doing the album, it was like, okay, they acted funny. Let's stop. Let's do this EP. Got the EP done in a week. Start moving it around, and then got the album. We got back to the album. You know what I mean? So we had to put it together, brother. We had to keep going, man. And that Handle Your Business EP was something that I love too, man. I think I'll listen to that later on.
Alrighty, so I mean, so we're taking it through, we're taking it through 3 albums so far in an EP. So now it comes into 2000, and this would be the year that the Warriors album, and also backtracking, broadcaster/editor's note, the Ante Up remix was on Funkmaster Flex. For our listeners that don't know, was on the 60 Minutes of Funk Mixtape Volume 3, released in 2001. For our listeners that may not know. We'll get back to that. We'll get to We'll get back to that in a second about when y'all hooked up with Funkmaster Flex, about how that would come about with that classic collaboration. So now we're going into 2000 when we are seeing where Loud is just like having this. And this is off the cuff, Billy. King, Sam Manchin, Chilla, myself. We all pride ourselves in just never downing or dissing or disrespecting anybody, but just speaking on what was going on. So, and this kind of ties into what happens with your album that will be released in 2000. Because a year earlier, Loud had already ran into some issues with the Mobb Deep Murder Music Project in terms of where Prodigy went on the source and that was about a year later after the album came out, but Prodigy was straight pissed about it in terms of what was going on, because he felt like, they didn't put enough to, of course everybody knows in the hip-hop story that the album was bootlegged heavily. They even Prodigy and, rest in peace, and Havoc even joked it went platinum in the streets. The murder music, so there was just some issues business-wise, which would come to Warriors, which, God,
that was a part of that
album.
That was a part of that quadruple release, because you had Exhibit's album that was out, then you had the Wu-Tang album that was out, Prodigy album that came out. Loud was hitting them in the head.
Yeah, Loud had a lot going on that year.
Yeah.
They did. They did.
So what was happening during that? Yeah. Go ahead,
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, what was going on in terms of that time with the promotion and everything and just putting that together? Because, for some people, they believe that is like the consummate M.O.P. album, like really that just really brought everything together.
Right. Well, I thought we were in a good situation, right? We were at Loud. Mm-hmm. They were the biggest hip-hop label at the time. They had everybody there. They had all the connects. I didn't see what Prodigy saw at the time with Bad Promo. Not until we actually did a record called Got to Go.
Yeah, that would be on the Marksman.
Right. Same opening line was Mr. Steve Rifkin. I got to go. I got to leave. And then, he started talking about, how Loud
records alone fucked up the way we roll, yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, not until Fame did that is when it dawned on me. But again, I'm a kid. I'm so far elevated from where I would have been had I stayed in the street. I still feel like I'm in a good position. So, with that in my mind and being drowned in Hennessy, I didn't even pay attention to none of it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it coming. I didn't even see it happening, because I would get out of a $100,000 car in the middle of Bed-Stuy, and people cheer me on like I'm the people's champ. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's the people's champ. So I'm like, I'm getting what I deserve right here. It's enough for me. I didn't. When you're in the business, man, and you don't know it all the way, because I could be honest and say, dude, I was drowned in Hennessy like the first 9-10 years of my career, so I didn't see everything. You know what I mean? So it wasn't. Even though it was a big deal, it really wasn't no big deal to me, because I'm already winning in my head. So I didn't see it. I didn't see what Prodigy seen, and like I said, not until Fame said it did it hit me. That's when it hit me. You know what I'm saying? So, but hats off to Steve Rifkin, right? Like he did his best for all of the artists, as far as I know. He did the best he could do. His brother was actually amazing. I forget the cat name, but he always would make sure we had everything we needed and everything was good. But, you know, I don't feel no way about it because, you know, when you put yourself in situations, nobody can do anything to you that you don't allow. You know what I'm saying? Like if your contract says they can hold your record back or they don't have to do certain things, then they just don't have to do them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then on the other hand, too, you can't even say, because, look, he got 20 artists over there, right? He may have $100 million, but he may give this artist, that artist too much money, this artist not enough money. It's all one pot of money. To the fans, they want M.O.P. to win and sell more records than this one. But to the people that gave him the pot of money, they don't give a shit who sells what, as long as that money come back. So he may have, you know, put that money in all the wrong places before it was time to put that Mobb Deep album out or put that M.O.P. album out, and he didn't have the funds to do what he needed to do. That's a possibility. I don't know if that was the case. Like I said, I was drowning Henny. I was winning anyway. Not that it didn't matter, but I didn't see it. You know what I mean? So, but hats off to Steve Rifkin, man, and Loud Records. They did a great thing for hip-hop.
Definitely, and they did, you know, and, you know, I mean, in terms of the rest in peace, Loud Record, but one thing about it is undoubtedly Loud, you know, created a lot of classics, and we have to give Steve Rifkin deserves his rightful respect and place in hip-hop history. So we're going to switch gears in terms of a minute to taking it to a more, you know, optimistic, you know, and a brighter subject. Nigga, Premier loves y'all. We're just going to say it. DJ Premier.
Right.
I mean, he really, really loves you guys. How does it feel? What was it like to work with him the first time and then not only from the first time, you guys have always had access to Premier, where Premier, you know, he's a legend, but it's like he's one of those guys, if he rock with you, and if, you know, he really feels you got, I mean, it's like you guys just have that black card for him anytime. What is it like? What's it like to work with Premier?
Well, now you know what? It's no pressure. It's pressure, but it's no pressure, right? Because it's like, you know, when you like your favorite cousin and shit. You ain't seen your favorite cousin in a couple months. And when you go to your house, think of your favorite cousin. Yeah, it's popping. Sometimes, dude, we literally get in the studio with the intentions of making a record and just sit there and kick it about tours and about fights or something we've done and never get the record done. Just sit there and just reminisce. So it's more like just going to hang out with your favorite cousin now. But the first time, and eventually we get the work done, just to be clear on that. But the first time working with him was like, you know, it's amazing, dude. You know, it's like you going to hang out with your idol or someone that you look up to. And, you know, that extra nervousness that you always expect when you going around somebody of this stature, you know what I mean? But as far as his creative, like, I don't think I've ever did a record with anyone else that give me that comfortability, like the sound, and he don't push you unless he needs to push you. You know what I mean?
Right.
If he don't need to push you, he don't push you. He understands that as an artist, like, you need that comfortability. So from the mic to the time you walk in, from the time you walk in the studio to the sound of the mic to, you know, him creating the beat, because sometimes he'll even let you sit there with him while he's creating the beat. It'll take him forever because y'all will be talking. He'll be doing a lot of talking and reminiscing and shit, but he'll get the beat done. And it's crazy, though, because as professional as he is and as solid as he is as a producer, he don't mind asking for your opinion. Like, that sound good? That sound dope? Yeah, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Then they'll just keep moving from there. And Premier's one of them producers that actually make the beat for you right there. I don't. I think he has. Of course, he has to have beats somewhere that he didn't use. But when you tell him you need a beat, he'll make it for you right there. You know what I mean? Like it all has this signature sound, but he customized that beat for what you and him, what kind of energy is in the room at that moment. So rather it be Crack Commandment to anything M.O.P. did, anything Jay-Z did, anything Nas did, like he custom make the beat for you right there from that energy that's in the room.
Now,
you know?
T-Max, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're going to big up everything you guys have done in terms of soundtracks, rarities. We're going to put everything. And one of the favorite tracks that you all did premiere on the laid it down for was the Half and Half off of Blade 2. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope, yo. That was dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Premier's nuts, man. He's nuts, yo.
And we got to give hometown love. And we got to give hometown love because I also want to give. I also business aspect. You know, we want to ask you this. Shout out to Knox out here in Hampton. Living legend has not gotten his due. I mean, the joint, you know, Wolves that y'all did with Crump.
Oh my
soundtrack in 2001. What? I mean, how did that happen?
Dude, well, Crumb called it. I didn't even know Knox made the beat at the time, but Crumb called us to the studio. We went on ahead and banged it out. But as soon as I heard the beat, I was like, oh my God, crazy. Well, let me tell you something, man. Knox is. I mean, we could say he doesn't. You know, he haven't got his proper due or whatever. But for me, he definitely does. I came down and hung out with Knox for a whole day, like 2 weeks before we came to do the show.
Right.
I just flew down there on some business, but I went to the studio. I went to Knox studio and shit, and we just hung out there all day, dude. And I pulled he gave me 10 joints, and I don't know how I chose the 10, because he had so many. And I was like, oh, my God. It's like everything he does is ridiculous, bro. Like, it's not, his shit's just not average. He's not regular dope. Like, he's over dope. Like, he's like fucking nut. I'm talking about every little sound that he put into the beat, even the EQs. It's like everything is EQ'd properly. You never have to touch a Knox beat. Leave it as it is. That shit is perfect. The dude is
Shout
amazing.
out to Norview. Shout out to Norview or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
yeah. That's my guy,
you know,
too. Knox is my guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, all right. So, ultimately, you know, so based past, you know, Warriors, tell us about the Mark Smith. Because when I saw that in the store, and I got, tell us about how that came about.
Again, you know, in between deals, and just never, you know, taking no for an answer. And at this point, we go, you know what, we got to continue to feed our people. We have to.
Okay.
So, we just decided to do. It was a mixtape. And people don't want to give M.O.P. the credit for actually creating those kind of mixtapes, right, with original records on them. They don't want to give us the credit for that, but I don't think I've heard anyone else do it before M.O.P. did it. But that's what Marksman was about. It was about just feeding our people and you know, forcing the label's hand. And sometimes you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it. Because they force your hand by waving this little bit of money over your head, especially us in these, you know, from these communities. We ain't got no bread like that. And, you know, people need to feed their family, so they wave that money over your head and get you to do these backflips for this money. So we're not going to do the backflips for the money. What we're going to do, what our money is our power. Our power is in our records. So if we put these records together and feed our people, you're going to have to give us that money. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was about. It was about forcing the hand of the label and really feeding our people.
And you guys was leaving.
Definitely.
Were you guys leaving loud around that time? Because when that record came out, was that when you were dealing with G on it?
No.
Or was that Rock?
G
Rockefeller
wasn't even around it. Yeah,
Okay.
with Rockefeller, we hadn't did a deal. Yeah, we hadn't did a deal with Rockefeller at the time. As I said, between our first and second deal, Jay and Dame would always come to the studio.
Uh-huh.
You know, so we weren't on any label at the time.
Okay.
Hey fam, y'all gonna be mad as hell with me. I need a second to just answer this call. Please don't
take
cut
your
me
time.
off, man.
You are good.
Right.
No, you are good. You are good. Take your time. We are here.
Cool.
We are here.
No,
come back when you need to. Come back. We are good. We got this. All right.
All right. Cool.
Okay. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, Off the Cuff Radio, Elada Sandman, King Eric the Ruler, myself, T-Max with the facts. We are on a little program break right now. Call number is 1516-531-9596. We have the one half of the Mash Out Pod, Billy Dance, on with us. So are we getting some gems out of this or what?
You ain't kidding, brother. This, I'm telling you, this is rank up to be one of the best shows of the year.
Man, look, I mean, but when you, and I think the thing about it is having an artist, you know, and of course, you know, shout out to Lil Fame, you know, to, you know, we got to give shout out.
Yeah.
I mean, okay,
I'm
you
back,
back?
bro. I'm back.
Okay.
Baby.
Yeah.
Okay, word. Yeah, so in terms of the now we don't want to question because we know the situation, Billy, that was going on at the time with Dame and Jay in terms of when things were kind of, because Jay would end up taking the position Def Jam back in late 2004. What was it like pretty much there, for just go ahead and let our audience what that whole thing was like during that time.
Yeah, your phone going out, T-Max. I'm gonna try to call back, but
okay.
In the meantime, I'm gonna have Fame. I'm gonna have Dan's on answer the question right quick.
Okay. Yeah, his phone was cutting out, so I didn't get the full question, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him call. I'm gonna have him
call
call
back.
Me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so what was it like during that time? Because everybody knows about the situation with Rockefeller in terms of what was going on. You know, Jay would eventually, in late 2004, get the president position over Def Jam, but things were kind of, beginning, that's a whole separate situation in terms of what was happening with him and Dame. What was it like being at Rockefeller? You all kind of saw it. What was it like during
Yeah, it's going in and out.
Yeah, I'm going to have him call
Hello?
back.
Okay, I'm calling back.
Okay, cool.
Okay, bet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Family Phone. It was doing great for a minute.
It kept on breaking up a little bit. Sometimes that's little communication issues, but we getting some great gems out of you, man. It's like this is one of our best shows, man. Just getting the great background history of what you all about. We appreciate the chopping up, man.
That's all good, bro. That's all good, man. I mean, I'm here, you know what I mean? You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Okay, I'm here. Can y'all hear me? I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So what was it like during that time with the Rockefeller situation? Because Jay would end up being the president. 2004. What was that climate like that going on? A lot of people have a lot to say about what was happening at that point.
Well, here's what I got to say, and I'm going to do it short and sweet, right? I'm going to be honest.
Go ahead.
When those guys broke up, I was a little bit shocked because, like I said, I can go all the way back to when in between my first and second deal, I watched them build this company and build this amazing thing. So for them to break up, it totally threw me off. Now, when that happened, I went and had a meeting with Dame. He offered me a room full of money. I didn't take it. I went to have a meeting with Jay a week later. He offered me a room and a half full of money. I didn't take it. Because for me, it wasn't about the money. Let's go back again.
Right.
I remembered when the Rock was a pebble, and they built it together. They built millions. At this point, they were making $1 billion a quarter. No, they was making they was making $1 billion a year. They was making $100 million a month.
Ooh.
And this is something they did together. Now, in my head, and this is this is never a shot at either one of them, but if you could turn your back on somebody that together you and this person turn shit into sugar, what are you going to do to me?
Understood.
You understand what I'm saying?
Understood.
So
and
I didn't deal with either one of them on those deals, but I'm still cool with both of them. Actually, just talked to Dane maybe about a week or two ago, and I give my lines to and from Jay whenever I need to, so it's all good. You know what I mean? It didn't work for me. Like when I said first family, when I said M.O.P. for life, like family means a lot to me. And when you build something like that from the bottom, man, and then everything go haywire, regardless to what the reason is, it's shaky for me. You
That's understandable.
It's shaky. So
and
I
like
didn't do it.
And like Michael Corley. It's wild.
I think you break it up. Yeah, I think you break it up again, T. Match. But what I was gonna say too, man, you know what's wild though is that it was like the Lakers. It was like the Lakers team in the 2000s, the way Rockefeller had this thing locked. And I couldn't even imagine one collab that I wanted to see when I heard you guys was affiliate or signing with them was a joint with Siegel, the Beanie Siegel M.O.P. joint. Shit.
You know what, bro? I think that it's hard to be at labels when the main artist is actually part owner.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest. Of interest.
You know what I'm saying? Because even though they wanted, CJ's a hustler.
Right.
He's also an artist. As a hustler, and he perfected his hustle a little more later on. But as a hustler, a young hustler, and an artist at the same time, it's hard for you to go, you know what, let everybody around me grow as well. And I'm not saying that's what he said. Maybe unconsciously, he could have been like, you know what, this is about me. It's about me. It's about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know because I never had this actual conversation with him. But that's what it could potentially have been. And that's any situation. You know what I'm saying? That's any artist, anybody. And that's just kind of how things are. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I do this too. So why would I want somebody else to be bigger than me? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that probably could have had some effect on the demise of the label. You know what I'm saying? Possibly. We don't know. Because when you're doing business, you got to just do business, man. You can't have your personal feelings should never be tied into business. You know what I mean? It's too much. It's like my man, one of my men told me how when he was a kid, he wanted to have a certain kind of store. He's like, I'm gonna still do it. I'm like, now why would you do that? Okay, you want to have a store where you sell, say, a bicycle store. You can't move the store, so you got the store in one neighborhood. Once you sell bikes to everybody in the neighborhood, how are you gonna get more money?
True.
That makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, It doesn't make sense. So everything that you dreamt about as a kid doesn't always work for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think a little bit bigger, man. So you got to learn how to spread things out. And sometimes guys don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? So it's hard to be at a label where the head of the label is an actual artist. This is why most of the artist-run labels, no other artists on the label get bigger than the actual artist. Very rarely does that happen. You know what I'm saying? Than the artist that owns the label. So you don't want to be on you don't want to be on a label where the artist owns the label, because even if he doesn't say it, he may still win if you surpass him.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny, Billy, because when you're looking at,
you're in and out again, bro.
Okay, hold on.
We're going to get you
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I got you, brother.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still going to get you a new phone, brother. Go ahead.
It's crazy about, when you're looking at the levels of business and how it's conducted, because one thing you said earlier about, what Russell has said about y'all, and I guess this is something I think Jay, if Jay had to I think Jay would have probably been, served to kind of look at, because there is one thing that you, Jay, and Nas all have in common. Russell didn't necessarily get on board when he could have right away. Now, Jay and him, it took a little time, but Jay, The Rock ended up getting their deal with Def Jam, but he didn't, Russell had a chance to sign with Nas, and he had a chance to, rock with y'all, and he didn't. And I said that to say, when you're dealing with the business aspect of it, I think Jay would have been, to look at it from what everybody really has to go through in terms of business. Like, there's always that uncertainty. There's a situation of, just up and downs. And I would, you just kind of would wish that maybe things didn't go out the way that they did. And that's no shade to him or Dane. Things happen. We all know the story. We're not going to put everything out there online or that we know. But it's like,
right.
It's just a situation where everybody decided at a certain level it was time to move in different directions, and that happened. So, all right, so we get back. So there's one project that you and Fame did. I mean, the level of awesome you guys achieved, the Snow Goons album that y'all did, Sparta. Shout out to J.S. Custer and them German boys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that album went hard.
Yes. Tell us about that.
That was definitely a good album. My boy Manu, DJ Legal from the Snow Goons. We've been traveling the world for years, bro. So we met a lot of people. So I think out on one of the tours, we will always cross paths or whatever. And out on one of the tours, I think either Lays or Fame had a conversation with DJ Illegal. And we just pulled it together from there. Dude, these dudes sent me 100 beats. The hardest thing to do with that project, they sent me like 100 beats.
Oh wow.
The hardest thing to do was to pick 10 out of 100. Now, because that's what we decided on. We're only going to do 10. Right?
Right.
Now, because it's a few of them, like you got one is Danish, 2 or 3 is German, one's from here. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a couple of them. It's a couple of them.
Right.
And they bring in all – like, they are what a production crew should be like. Like, they can do –
yes.
They can do everything, right? So it's hard as hell to pick 10 beats out of 100 beats because you're like, shit, I like this too. You know what I'm saying? So that was the hardest part about putting that joint together. But came out great. That fucking actual the title track, one of my favorites, and that Break 'Em record is something that I love. But yeah, every record on that to me was great. You know what I mean? We put it out through Baby Grand with the guy Chuck, who runs Baby Grand over there. It was pretty. I mean, put it out. They put it out. They put it out wrong, just to be honest, right? I actually had someone. I was doing an interview in Italy, and the dude stopped in the middle of the interview and said he apologized. And I said, why? He said, because he said, I apologize for illegally downloading the Spotter album. I go, what you mean? He's like, we couldn't get the Spotter album here until February. But it came out in like November. So it was, in the first week, it was 63,000 illegal downloads of the project. Because this gentleman, much as I hate to say it, but somebody did some underhanded shit, and they told me, motherfucker literally told me, iTunes is down. I'm like, iTunes is down? iTunes is down. iTunes is the biggest music company on the planet. There's no way in the fuck iTunes is down, and if it ever goes down, it's coming right back up.
Right.
Their whole shit is about tech shit. Can handle this. You know what I'm saying? So they put it out wrong. So, you know, a lot of guys, and I was seeing it all online. They're like, yo, why can't we get the album here and fucking, you know, in Slovenia? Why can't we get the album here in Switzerland? Why can't I'm like, what you mean you can't get it? You know what I mean? So he put it out wrong. But we, like I said, we had over 60,000 illegal downloads on that project from the way they put it out. But it was a great project, and every time we get on the stage, we perform like 2 or 3 records from that, and people love it. You know what I mean? So as long as we put it out, we did our best, and people accepted it. The people that did get it on time, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we've already talking about. We have talked about. Last time I seen Snow going, we already talked about doing a part 2. So
yeah,
we need it.
We need it. We need it. Look,
they have a crazy appreciation. They have a crazy appreciation for hardcore hip hop overseas, more so than the States, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's something that, you know, a fact. Like everyone knows that, right? Like the fans, most of the fans in the U.S. are actually upcoming artists. And I mean, everybody raps here. I mean, whether they're good or not, they still try to do it. You know what I'm saying? So there's no standards here. Like, you know, the bankers and overseas, like the bankers are bankers, the tech people are tech people, the dancers are dancers, and the rappers are rappers. Here, everybody's a rapper. You know, the banker's a rapper. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little crazy because people think it's an easy job from the way that they hear the music, the production in the music now, because the production isn't so solid, or the work effort, like, you know, that was once put in is no longer solid like that. So everybody thinks it's easy. You know
hold that thought, Billy, because hold that thought, Billy, because we want to get back to that.
I was gonna say that's crazy, man, because even the Walmart worker, you would think that he's helping you get some items, and instead he's gonna give you a demo tape.
Right. Right. That's just how it is, bro. That's just how it is, man. And it's crazy because it's like everywhere you go, it's like that. Everywhere in America, bro. Everywhere. They kill me when they do these little these showcases.
It's a trip though, man.
The showcases be killing me when they go. When they have like these little rap showcases, like everybody at the showcase is a rapper. How's everybody? I'm like, all of y'all? Everybody? This is ridiculous. This is way too much.
And hold that thought, Billy, because we're going to get back to that too. Because we got a little bit of time, but we want to get back to that about how the game has changed. Now, because we want to cover as much as we can, the G Unit situation. How did that come about?
Rockefeller is now no more.
Right.
So we're in, but so we're figuring out what we're going to do. Normally we would just go ahead and put a record together and put it out, which we did that with a couple of little records, just put them out. But again, like I said in the beginning of a conversation, with exception of the first deal we had, every other deal was because the A&R or whoever owned the company was an actual fan. So 50 was an actual M.O.P. fan. He used to always tell a story about how his son and his son's mother loved M.O.P. So that's how that came about. And then I used to see, but I always used to hang out in the hood and shit. And the little dudes around, I used to be around them. Yo, come make a record with my boy. Come make a record with my boy. I never got around to doing it, but he was always an M.O.P. fan. So we wound up kind of hooking up after that Rockefeller situation. And I think we just did like 2 records. He sent over like a record to do, and he sent over another record. We did like 2 records. And we actually didn't, like, people thought we did a deal with them in 2005. But we just went on tour with them in 2005. We didn't do a deal until 2006. So.
Because I didn't bring it with me that night, but I do have that XXL cover where all of you were up there. You know,
and
you
did
Olivia.
That picture. We did that picture in, I want to say, Ireland somewhere.
Yeah.
We did it in Ireland, while we were on the Massacre tour.
Gotcha. Definitely. I mean, so I guess getting back to what you were saying, because we want to touch on that, because what you were saying, what you and King were saying is just so on point about how you got everybody trying to be a rapper now. How have you seen the game change over the years in terms of just from where you all started it to internet marketing to now everybody thinks that they can rap but don't really understand the science and the nuance and the hard work that it takes to do it in terms, you guys, for everything you all have been through, you guys have not only survived, but you have thrived, you have excelled, you have become legendary and all of that. But I think for a lot of these young artists out here, they got to understand that not all of them are going to be as blessed to have a career as, you and Fame have had, Hayes, Fox, where have you seen it change? What era do you think it started changing? What period?
Well, I would say around like 2000, like coming out of 2000. It started changing around 2000, but around 2006, 2007 is when it started. The heavy change came in, and I think it was. It's almost like when my I forget what year it was, but it was my sister's birthday. My father brought home his record player with his record, and it was not Love Is the Message. It was it Love Is the Message? Well, whatever it was, right? The first rap record, right? It was the first rap record, right? So
Sugar Hill Gang, 1978,
Sugar Hill Gang, right? Thank you, brother. And we played this record until the words came off the record, right? But I would watch my mother walk past. Every time my mother walked past it, she would cringe, like, what the hell is that? So that was the change from her music to ours. And then the older artists in the business, once M.O.P. got in, there was another change. Once my era came in, there was another change. So they was probably cringing too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now when this new era come in, we cringe. But here's the truth, bro. I call it this thing of ours. And if we don't allow this music to grow and change, then we're going to be screwed, because this is the only thing that we absolutely own from our community. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't own nothing else. This is what's ours. Like, we figured out how to plug a cord into the light pole, and we figured out how to create these records. We figured this out. So this is ours. So even though I'm not such a fan of all of the music that's going on out there, I'm a fan of every artist as a person, especially coming from our communities, because to be honest, right, like we got one of ours that's hanging out on the board of the NFL right now, which is Jay-Z. We got another one of ours who got the biggest TV show on TV, which is 50. We got another one of ours who sold some headphones for $1 billion, bro.
Drake.
This all came from hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So now, if it don't grow, how am I gonna feel getting off a plane coming from a foreign country, bumping into Cool Herc anywhere in the Bronx or Manhattan, and I gotta say to him, that thing that you guys created, stop. When I look at it, this thing of ours, you know, you can take all the major league sports franchises, the pro sport franchises, the tech companies, all these other companies around, and we can say collectively those companies haven't been able to secure as many homes in the urban community as hip-hop has. So I don't really care about what the music sound like, to be honest, bro. I need my people to win. So, no, I'm not going to listen to Lil Uzi Vert or none of them other dudes, but I'm going to be proud of them. I'm going to be happy for them. You know what I mean? But the thing that comes from... Right.
Yeah. And that's, you know, as I'm listening to you, you know, give such sincere sentiments of appreciation, you know, of what the culture is, you know, because, you know, and it's funny, you know, because we're all older, you know, and I think at times we do have a sentiment in reference to what we perceive as our nostalgia. And, you know, like you said, the evolutionary process of a culture is essential because it ensures the survival. You know, when it becomes stagnated, that's when it stops and it becomes deceased. You know, and we see a lot of things in terms of aesthetics, in terms of style, in terms of subject matter and song. Being real, I think that's a situation that kind of, you know, it kind of makes us concerned because we're wondering if the youth today, in terms of them getting into it, really are into it for the love, or are they into it for the love of the celebrity that it can provide? You know, when you all came up back in the day, man, it was like, you know, it was really like some work to get in, you know what I mean? And now, you know, you know, nowadays you can snap a video with your phone. You know, we got video programs that, you know, back in the day, dog, it's like, yo, it was like a major thing to get a camera crew together. Now you can spend like $5,000-$6,000 and you got like a whole like
you shoot a whole
digital
movie.
camera set and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
But just to be honest though, bro, here's the thing. Like our version of work. Okay, so when we talk about the artists that came before us, that our parents listened to, right? Or before that.
Right.
Like, do you realize, like, the songs were so amazing, but every time they heard it at the radio station singing it live.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, the artist was actually there singing it live. So, even though our version of work was more than what they have to do now, our version of work wasn't as much as the people that came before. So it's always going to be like that. It's just how it's handled and how you view it. Like, I'm not going to view it as the young guy have an easier way to get to the bag. I'm going to view it as I'm happy that he got an easier way to get to the bag because the next generation coming after that going to be good. And the next one coming after that going to be good. If it get easier, it get better for our people. Because remember, this is this thing of ours. So as long as it keeps going and people keep, I mean, come on, dude. Like these kids are from the same areas, the same kind of communities that most of us are from. We're all from the same kind of communities. We're all voted most likely to fail. We've all just escaped death many a times, or made it out of prison by the skin of our teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all from this same community. So if we now got something that can generate, wealth for the people that was voted most likely to fail, which is our people, I'm happy about it. You know what I'm saying?
Busta Rhymes said it best. Hip hop gave a lot of people jobs.
That's right. A lot of people jobs. Come on, dude. You got 20-year-old dudes, man. What's the kid name? I forget his name. He just bought a $23 million house. He ain't no older than like 25, 26 years old. I'm happy as hell about that house. It ain't mine. Look, it ain't my damn house. I ain't gonna never see it, but I'm happy as hell about that house. I'm happy as hell about that house, man. Little bro, go ahead and keep doing it. Don't go ahead and get it. We got first we had it. It was ours. We handed it to them. They get a shitload of money. Now, and here's the change. Let me go back to you asking, where did I see the change? I mean, the change in the music I heard, like in 2000, between 2000 and 2005, is when I started hearing the change. But the real change is that the kids are sharper now. They understand that it's about the artist and not about the label. Like, we don't need the label as much as the label need us. Them motherfuckers need us to generate tape. Imagine if we didn't make no records no more, and was some way that we could tell that we could stop all the radio stations from playing our records. People will go nuts. They ain't gonna look at the damn whoever runs Sony. They ain't looking at him. They looking at the artist. Like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, we provide these people.
They ain't looking at Dan Gilbert. They looking at LeBron.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I mean, that's the change that I see. Like, kids are getting wiser. They understand. Like, come on, look at the kid Chance. Chance don't even have a deal. This little motherfucker doing Kit Kat commercials and shit, and people throwing millions of dollars and shit at him. How you do that? You ain't got a deal. And he don't sell records. Literally. Meaning, like, he don't even put them up for sale. He just give them away. And then somebody came and brought him $10 million. Then somebody else came and brought him $15 million. Then now somebody else just gave him another $10, $20 million. Man, I love this shit, man. I love it.
Man, look, and
I don't care what it sounds like. I love it.
and when you look at Griselda up in Buffalo, I mean, shout out to Benny, Westside, Conway, of course, with City Boy. I mean, when you look at that DIY of how they came up from the ground up, and they're putting out their product in terms of, they have their market, they have their managing deal with Rock Nation. They're signed to Shady Records as a group. But in terms of the music, before they got on, these guys were moving units like by the tons, on the street. Yeah. And I'm like, these dudes, I mean, it's a throwback not only with their music, of which King and Sandman and Chinchilla tell you I'm a huge Griselda fan, but to just watch those guys with their grassroots movement of what they're doing, I mean, yeah. And technically, as an individual, they're not signed to a major. They still move, individually.
Mm-hmm. And they're dope.
They figured out the loopholes of the business, and they're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they're doing it. They're doing it not like the other cats from their era. They're doing it different. Like, they're doing it like they're rapping, like they MCing, like they doing records. They doing dope records.
Yes.
They're not just feeding off of what somebody else is doing. They're doing what they're doing, which is dope.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be honest, right? Like, there ain't but so many words in the English language. So who's going to say something this person haven't said? How Jay going to say something Nas haven't said? How I'm going to say something Big haven't said? Like, it's only a certain amount of words, bro. So,
but I mean,
it's just more about the way you put them together. It's just more about the way you put them together, the way you display them. And that's what they're doing. They're doing that thing right.
Yeah. I mean, but listening to that, like you said, you know, Billy, these guys MCing, I mean, Benny especially is just a fucking problem. I mean, this guy, I mean, you know, but one thing about it, and well, all of them are nice. Oh yeah, all of them are nice. All of them are nice. But I mean, you know, they all have a distinct style. You know, Benny has the probably in terms of the actual rap. In terms of actual, because all of them can flow. I think Benny's style is the most polished. I think Westside has the most thugged out. Well, he has a stylist, and then Conway is just the most thugged out. I mean,
right.
But all of them coming together, they blend so beautifully. And we got a little bit of time left. You guys have worked with legends. I mean, Premier, Jay-Z, Fabulous. You know, you rhyme with the Locks. I mean, you know, work with the Snow Goons, so many more that I didn't mention. When the book is written about the Mash-Out Posse representing Brownsville, what do you and Fame want everybody to know about what you all did in terms of, you know, what you wanted to bring to the culture?
You know what? I think I've been asked that, and I think my honest answer to that is I don't know. Like, I don't know what I want people to know. I want people to have their own opinion about me. I don't want, not that I don't want the statue in the billboard, but I want people to want that statue and that billboard for me. You know what I mean?
Got you.
Like, you know what I mean? Because you could have a statue in a billboard, you'll be forced to notice that statue and then recognize that statue, but because it's there, I want you to want it for me. You know what I mean? I want you to say, this was a dude that was solid, made solid records, or lifted the culture and from this angle, from this view, did things, you know, different or whatever. Whatever people want to say about me, I want my awards to be genuine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want the vote. Like, I don't want to be popular just because more people know me than they know other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want the awards. When I go to the award shows, I don't want the award because there's some fake ballot went around. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want actual people to say, there needs to be a statue of Billy Danze right there, or there needs to be an M.O.P. sign, you know, on this side of the Brooklyn Bridge. I want people to say that. I don't want to tell them that. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, closing this out, you know, Billy, you know, I mean, to actually have this chance to sit down and talk to you, we are so grateful. I mean, to have met you all back in December last year was one of the highlights of my hip-hop existence. You know, I mean, the pictures I still have is like, you all are a tremendous blessing. You all are revered. You are respected. You are cherished. You are treasured. King, you know, Sam Chinchilla, myself, all of our listeners out there, we are so honored, we are so privileged, we are so humbled to have had you on the show. And like I said, you know, you, Lays, Fox, you know, y'all are all welcome back anytime, you know, to just chop it up with us, man. You know, and like you said, when next time you touch down in VA, I'll have King pass on my info, and we'll, you know, yeah, we can link, man.
Hey, Dan, so one more.
Listen.
Hey, one more thing, man. First of all, in the build of what he was saying, I want to appreciate you for joining us, man. It's one of our favorite shows, actually, man. You've been one of our favorite duos, and we happy that you guys are continuing doing it close to 30 years later. And for one more favor, man, you think you could give us a drop for the show, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably send it over to you, champ, but I'll definitely get it done for you.
Appreciate it, man.
That's cool. I'll get you covered, bro.
We appreciate you, man. Look.
Hey, thank you, family. Thank y'all for having me, man. Thank you for letting me share and you know, chop y'all heads off tonight, man.
Man, look, this type of conversation. Look,
matter
you
of fact,
are welcome anytime.
I have the hard copy. I think I have the hard copy of Warriors on cassette. I'm gonna tag you on it later.
That's dope. I need
that. Yeah.
Oh.
Look, we both got it, as a matter of fact.
All right, yeah. Send me, tag me to it, bro, and I need some info too. Just DM me some info, man. So when I touch down, I can holler at y'all, man.
Okay, definitely.
All right,
definitely.
you have two accounts, right?
Nah, it's just Billy Dan's M.O.P.
Got you.
Somebody,
yeah, I'm gonna shoot it to you.
I mean, you could. Okay, shoot it to me, bro. I appreciate y'all, man.
Definitely. And my IG handle is TMaxNVA. I'll be dropping some stuff to you as well. You know, shout out to you and Fame and the whole crew, man. I mean, thank you again so much, man. We appreciate you, man. Shout out to all of Brownsville and the whole 5 boroughs, man. Look, appreciate y'all so much. Thank you again.
Thank you, brother. Y'all stay up, all right?
Yes, sir. Be blessed.
You too, man.
Peace.
Yes. Peace.